Welcome to Mark's Motorsports and Farming channel. I finally was able to get back to making a little hay now, since the crops are all planted. And I'm in my car right now, as you can probably tell. Now I'll show you where all I was able to cut. So there you can tell where I was able to get a little bit further into the roadside along the driveway to the main farm here. Further up you can maybe see where the swath is pretty much the full width of the disc mower, because like here the disc mower took more. Show you. And then further up there's another spot that's more like that. And in a couple of spots when I cut the first time, there was standing water in the very middle of the ditch, where it's, where it kind of bottoms and then slopes back up towards the tillable field. Which I'm pretty sure I showed that in a previous video, where there's standing water in some of the ditches yet, or at least the one that I'm driving along now here, trying to show you. There, now I'll show you the rest of the where I cut along the driveway here. Or the driveway to the main farm, I should say. I mean, that is really the only official driveway that I cut along. And I'm not able to aim the camera down there, but I was able to get a little closer to the field along the gravel road here, and then along the boundary again. This you can see from the camera right now. I was able to get a little closer to the field there. And then obviously I usually do cut this approach, just to make it look better, and zoom in on that quick. And then I'll drive down onto the last piece where I cut before I finish the field work. And I can walk you around. Show you somewhere where I was able to get in a little bit further where I couldn't the first time. Here, I'll climb out. There, I was able to, for the most part, I pretty much, took the bend out, that I had to leave the first time, because this ground dried out enough now to where I was able to cut in as far as I did. Obviously, of course, this particular area as a whole has been known to be kind of a sponge, so I mean, you don't dare cut when it's any more of a sponge than where I'm walking now. If you can see that on camera or not. There, I think that shows you now how much of a sponge this ground tends to be. So yeah, I was able to get one rake width minimum, basically. With what I cut, and then up there now I got 2 rake widths. And there is a storm on the way for tonight, so like I said in one of the, I think I said this in a previous video, but I'll say it again anyway, that if you cut hay down and it gets rain on that night, then the damage is minimal. So that's why I was not afraid to come out here and try, cutting this, even though a storm's supposed to move in tonight. What damages hay the very most is when you cut it down and then it dries a couple days, and then you rake it up, and then it's almost ready to bale. Is when rain will hurt hay the most. So yeah, here too, I was fortunate enough to get 2 rake widths out here. And here too, there's that might be part of that same little valley or whatever you want to call it that I pointed on the other side. Yeah, the reason you see this little triangle right here is, because of what I showed you on the other side, or what I explained as well. That it's so much of a sponge right there, and at this time especially, to where if I would have tried to cut straight across, I probably would have been asking to get stuck, which, even though this is neighboring ground to the home place, I'd still rather just avoid being stuck altogether. You know, like by not cutting areas like that. I don't know if this is really still that light or what the deal is, but normally the disc mower just, you know, cuts it off and lets it sit flat, you know, where here in a couple areas it, you know, it was spitting it back. Maybe something to do with the ground in general, I suppose. Yeah, here's a little bear again, and then especially right now, that's a very spongy spot where I was just at. So I think the best plan here is, you know, for me to get my small square baler greased up, and then whatever hay I showed you so far, I'll bale with that. Because number one, the market for those seems to be hanging in there yet to where it should be profitable enough to make those bales and haul them to market, you know. And still have a decent profit even after the charges that I'll have to pay. And number two, because of what I've been explaining with this area and how spongy it is in places, would be another reason, just because that baler has the least amount of weight to it, and therefore has the least amount of risk of breaking through the ground. So that's what I'm looking at doing right now, or at this time, is, you know, to do everything I showed you so far with the small square baler, and then what I haven't showed you yet, I'll still use the round baler on. We got a little bit of got a little driving to do in order to get to the rest of where I cut. Some of it's just down the road here, so I suppose I can go there first. Take me a little bit to get there, so that's another benefit of using the car to show you where I cut rather than the Polaris Ranger side by side, is because this car has bigger tires than the ATVs do, and so I'm able to move a little faster, and you guys don't have to wait so long to see what I'm looking to show you. Well, this maybe you can see from driver's side here. I was able to get closer to that field. Yeah, you can see it a little bit now. And I took a blade out of there too. And then, yeah, this part you can't see because it slopes too much, but yeah, here this roadside getting closer to these houses. Well, obviously the people that own the houses mow a certain amount as their lawn, so it's not like it's all, you know, grass that I can cut, but there is a certain amount that still stays standing as a roadside that I'm able to cut and get hay off of. There's that, and then this side again now I got closer to the guy's field. But I did not go past this culvert here just because, you know, it seems a little more questionable in there as far as ground goes. Yeah, turn around at this intersection here and go over to the area where the rest of the hay's at, where I cut. There again, a little driving. On here too, I can't really see it on camera, I don't think, but I was able to get closer to this field already that my dad does own. Yeah, as long as we're driving by here, this guy's soybeans are just starting to come through the ground, so it shouldn't be too long now before mine do. So somewhat of a crop update there. I guess you could call it a crop update, but even though it's not my crop that I just talked about there. Here too, I got closer to the guy's meadow. The owner's been cutting the meadow himself, but still doesn't have any sort of issue with me doing the roadside. Which is certainly a good thing, because I mean, especially along the road there, you know, that leads up to the home place there, home farm. I've been cutting those roadsides for a number of years, just because, you know, either number one, they border land that we own, or that my dad owns, I should say, or number two, nobody was ever cutting them, and therefore they just pretty much got abandoned. And so when I started cutting them, just to, you know, because not only does it look nicer in the end, but I've also been able to benefit by being able to make that much extra hay that I would not be able to make otherwise. Yeah, the landowners on both sides here, you know, cut their own roadsides, so they probably wouldn't like that if I'd come along and cut them. Too, it looks like this guy's beans they've probably been out of the ground a little bit longer than the other field I showed you, but there you, I guess you could say that's a crop update, even though it's not my crop. There's some hay that should be cut. Obviously, once again, that's not mine, so otherwise I would cut it if it was mine. Tell you that right now. Might be a little, not sure if it's too steep or not to really get a camera shot here. I'll try. Another roadside here that I just cut earlier today. There, that works. You guys can see it real good from the way I'm holding the camera now. I got 2 swaths cut here. Obviously here I know I could cut a third if I was ambitious enough. You know, a couple places where there's enough to where I could do that. Otherwise, this particular owner here, he's usually come along with his disc more later and get right up to the field where I'm not able to with mine. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not able to, but if I would at all, I'd want to wait until after this is off and then do it. And here too, the guy that rents these acres has been doing the roadsides. Yeah, even there's been a couple of times where, either he'll cut it and rake it and wouldn't feel like baling it or something, and then he'll ask me if I want to. Otherwise, I know there was one year where I just flat out asked him, and he said I could that year, so I did. But otherwise, most years he's been cutting it himself, the guy that rents there. Here's another roadside where I took 2 swaths here, but where I'm headed, I'm only able to take 1. Well, I guess there too, there's a couple places, towards the end of where I'm headed, where I could have got 2, but didn't feel like driving back there for the little bit that was there. Normally I'm able to go a little further than where I'm gonna stop, but road work going on, so I'm not sure if I dare try to get those or not. But there too, I'll have to drive by these roadsides in order to get to those. So places where I'd be able to get 2 swaths, I still could. Yeah, here there's brush and junk laying in some places, that's why I didn't cut there. Otherwise, yeah, here I got 1 swath done. I wasn't able to cut much here, I think this is one area where there's usually flooding going on in this part of the road, or a lot of times, and a couple times they had to shut this gravel road down because of the high water, but thankfully it's open now, so I was able to cut these roadsides. Yeah, there's road work on the blacktop that I'm going towards, so like I said, that's why I didn't dare try to go any further than this. But I think, pretty sure crews went home for the night, so I'll flip a U-turn and show you the other side here. Yeah, normally I'm able to, I also cut this roadside, and then one to the west a little further, and then that belongs to my uncle, and then that same uncle also owns one off of a blacktop that's near this one where I just made the U-turn. So I normally just keep going and catch those, and then by the second farm that he has, there's a couple more of those abandoned type roadsides that I'm gonna be able to do while I'm there. So one for sure. This roadside here, I normally do not cut, but the guy that does normally cut it, you know, he saw me skip over it initially, and then where I'm headed to, I started cutting, and then so he came flying over here on his four-wheeler and said that I could cut a swath, you know, the swath I just showed you. So, luckily the guy caught me when he did, because then it wasn't that big of a deal for me to turn back around and then go cut it. I'm sure he understood otherwise why I skipped it at first, you know, because he normally does it. And I happen to know the guy, and I especially don't want to take hay away from, you know, people that I know and that, you know, might depend on it for something. Livestock feed usually in that case. But this time, like I said, he probably saw me going up towards the blacktop on the other side that I showed you before. And he saw me turn around and skip that ditch like I normally do. And just because he's always cut it. So I guess for that matter, it's certainly a good thing that I was given the opportunity to cut a swath along there this time. There too, like I say, I know that guy. And, had he not chased me down to say that I could cut it, I would have just still left it and kept going where I'm showing you. Yeah, these ones this roadside that I'm showing you now is, you know, one that I have been cutting all along. So I mean, this road used to be, you know, not quite as wide as it is, and you know, no roadside that you could cut. But when a few years back they finally, you know, did something about it and put a culvert under it, got like a regular gravel pretty much, and then they had more of a slope to where there was a roadside where I could cut, which was nice. Now here we're back to ones where I was able to get two swaths from. There's a sign laying right by that driveway, so I didn't dare touch that. Well, I mean, to say the least, it's nice not to have to worry about planting crops anymore, and can concentrate on hay again. So now the company that I sell seed for, my boss, talked to me this morning and picked up the seed that wasn't used. And then he told me about a farm where he needs hay to be made, and that the guy that was doing it, told him not too long ago, that they wouldn't do it. So I ended up getting a hay job in the end. Where I'll have to go over there and put it up, and then he worries about getting the bales off. So maybe do video footage of that. So there's the end of the road size that I cut earlier today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of all the hay that I was able to cut earlier today, and back to hay now that fields are planted. So with that, I give you this video before it gets too dark here. So it's good that there's enough daylight to where you can see everything. So with that, I thank you guys for watching my videos. I certainly appreciate that. Be sure to hit the like button, and if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you later.